It was soon to be the winter holiday on the railroad. The trains were making hasty preparations for the upcoming celebrations. The workload was very busy, but the trains didn't mind clearing the snow and bringing the passengers to their destinations. All the trains were excited for the Sodor celebrations, however, none more so than Thomas, the tank engine. This cheery little train loved this time of year and wished to pull the most special train of them all. One crisp and clear cold morning, the trains were all bundled up at their little train house. The cool autumn air made them shiver with both joy and hypothermia as they all talked eagerly about the celebrations.
Boy howdy, am I sure elated for the upcoming Sodor celebrations.
I wonder what special jobs we're all gonna undertake.
Who cares? It's the same job every single year. We do the exact same thing every single day. Why are you asking a question you already know the answer to anyway? Sometimes I think our lives are nothing more than an endless loop of boredom.
I'm taking the jolly makers to the...
I'm taking the apple cars.
And I'm taking the very critical carriages.
What are you doing, Thomas?
Quizzed James, questioningly. Thomas only frowned frumpily. I'm taking the coal cars.
Wow, that sucks. I would hate to be your buddy.
Yes, it's quite clear that you were assigned the menial labor instead of an important trade. Why do you ask? Because you are a small blue engine. Who's blue? That is bad.
Wait, aren't you blue?
Tomorrow, Henry.
Thomas was cross. He didn't like being yelled at, and he especially didn't like doing the menial labor of the group. He wanted a peculiar special, not dusty, dingy coal cars. Soon, his thoughts of treason were interrupted when the astute manager arrived. Greetings and salutations, my train fleet. As you all know, you all have important jobs. Expect you all to get back to the party grounds for the party by 8 p.m. If not, the party will be jeopardized and ruined. Thomas, you must go and collect the important coal first from the yards. Toodles and cheerio, chaps. And the astute manager flounced away whimsically.
Pah! He only said it's important because he doesn't want to make you feel bad. I think he ought to learn that honesty is always the best policy. Especially if it makes someone hate their life afterward.
And Gordon left. I will show him, Thomas chuffed. As he trundled his way down to the train yards, he saw the long line of coal cars. They weren't very critical to him. However, on the right, he saw a nice line of carriages. They looked like the Jollymaker coaches to him. He had a very devious idea. He rolled up to Edward, who was sitting cozily by the water tower. Oh, Edward, my good engine, what perchance are you currently partaking in?
I'm about to depart with the jolly maker. What about you, my good, very useful friend?
There's been a change in plans. The astute manager has reassigned you to take the coal cars instead, whilst I take the Jollymakers.
Are you sure, Thomas? Those coal cars look very, very rusty and old.
Yes, I'm certain. You see...
Do you know what happens to old and rusty things, Shamus?
No, actually, what?
They aren't useful. Do you know what happens to things that aren't useful, Shamus? They're scrapped, Thomas. Turned into more useful things from their melted parts. I wouldn't like to be an old and rusty Thomas. Neither would you, I'd imagine. Keep up being useful, Thomas. You never know when it may be the end.
Ho, ho, ho!
Safe travels, Thomas.
Ho, ho, ho. Thomas buffered up to the train wagons and departed from the station. As he traveled down the track, his pride skyrocketed as all the children waved and cheered. They really do think I am a marvelous locomotive, and they would be right. However, Thomas's joyful disposition would soon shatter when he arrived at the middle station, where Gordon, the pompous and high-speed train, was stationed. Hello, Gordon. I have the Jolly Maker train with me. Aren't I a grand sight? But Gordon only huffed.
Please, one special train for one small locomotive means nothing when you can carry such prestige as I.
With that, Gordon chuffed grandly out of the middle station, leaving Thomas seething red. He thinks I can only haul one special train. I'll prove him contrary. And so Thomas stormed away. It wasn't long until he found Percy struggling with his troublesome train of hot cocoa, which is used for making hot chocolate syrup, ice cream, and ice, which is used to cool the hot cocoa. The hot cocoa is then consumed by the holly jolly passengers as it goes down the throat, past the esophagus, so as to not accidentally end up in the windpipe, and...
I'm approaching the end of the set. Do you mind speeding this up?
My bad. MB, even. Anyways, as Thomas approached Percy, the troublesome carriages were being quite troublesome.
Hold back! Go off the track!
Burn and die, then break your legs. Oh dearie me, Percy. What appears to be the issue?
Well, gee, I don't know, Tomas. Maybe it's that I have an absurd amount of freight cars that are wishing upon my death when I have done nothing except the job that I was literally assigned to do because I am a train. Did you think about that?
Oh.
Yeah, so are you going to help me or not?
Thomas had another idea. I can take those trucks off your metaphorical hands, Percy.
I mean, we could just double up the train. It will save time, and I'm sure the manager wouldn't mind.
No, the manager cannot know.
Why? Well, you're not like pulling some mischievous trick or something on me, right? Wouldn't take advantage of a literal paralyzed person who's trapped in the middle of nowhere, would you?
Yes.
Is that yes that you wouldn't do that, or yes that you would? You're not being specific.
Let me take care of those cops.
God riddance. Wait, am I stuck here for the foreseeable future? Thomas, you piece of...
And Thomas buffered up the Percy, who was then shunted out of the way, and then was coupled up to the train cars. Safe travels, Percy. May the wind favor your currents and the rails be favorable for running. Thomas's special train had grown even more exponentially larger in size. As the train grew heavier and longer, Thomas was so preoccupied with his expanding train, he began to lose sight of what was truly important. The camaraderie of the party and helping his friends. Do you understand the moral we're trying to educate you about? Good, otherwise we can't secure that 6 a.m. time slot on PBS Kids.
Are you sure you need those fuel cars? They're quite important for the refueling for...
Yes, so Charlie, I am so assured. But then, how am I going to get to the party? Thomas's ego had grown larger than his train, and they were both soon to be shattered. As Thomas ran up the train tracks, he neglected the proper safety protocol explained in Rule 55, and forgotten to listen for the signal. This would be his downfall, I'm afraid.
Oh my gracious, how long does it take for a frog to move off a singular rail? I can't move until the wildlife is protected.
I wouldn't worry, Henry. Frogs are intelligent and beautiful creatures. Just give him some time to navigate this unfamiliar setting, and I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm sure he has to get back to his little frog family across that pond over there. Besides, he is quite adorable.
I suppose. I guess he's kind of cute. I think I'll call him Bob.
It was a disaster. Crates were everywhere, cars were derailed, and worst of all, Henry was covered in bumper to chimney and frog.
No, no! Bob, what did you do?
My driver is perfectly fine, thank you.
The frog, you idiot! You killed him! You murderer!
Thomas felt very silly. The astute manager was most furious. Thomas, you blithering absolute nincompoop, look what you've done! Firstly, you've stolen the Jolly Maker's carriages, and now they are laying everywhere. Next, you stole poor Percy's parcels, and now the ice cream is melted. And worst of all, you forced poor Henry to commit frog slaughter. What do you have to say for yourself? Thomas looked at his buffers ashamed. He knew he was out of line for his treachery, and he had paid the price for it willfully. I deeply apologize, my manager. I have acted rashly, insensitively, and worst of all, treacherously, not only to you, but to my good friends and compatriots on this railway line. I will do anything possible within my power to make this right to you, my manager. The astute manager pondered thoughtfully for several fortnights. He eventually, after a long ponderous moment, spoke to Thomas. Very well, I will allow you to make this right. However, there's no time to clean up the dust, splintered wood, or frog off of you. I know, sir. It is an ironically fitting predicament for me. However, I will brave the storm of adversity to make my wrongs correct. And off Thomas went. First he went back to find Edward at the other middle station, of which there are plenty. He exchanges jolly-making carriages for Edward's coal cars, to which he was understandably joyful. Next he found Percy buried alive and dehydrated. He gave his freight cars back to him and towed him to the next water dispenser. And finally he helped Henry clean up the frog off of him, and imparted some wise words of frog mortality and wisdom to soothe his woes, and perhaps legal troubles later. Soon 8 p.m. approached, and Thomas was the last one to arrive. Broken, beaten, and also dirty, he had made it with the coal cars. The engines gave him a foul scowl, but the manager kept a cool composure. Thank you for the delivery, Thomas. Now the celebrations can be powered by coal. As the celebrations were underway, the passengers cheered, the children grooved, and the engines shared joyful stories and whimsical recounting of past adventures and trials. Soon the adventures wrapped up, and the engines were left alone with Thomas. I've learned something, said Thomas. And what's that? I've learned that sometimes ego and pride is not worth your friendships or the well-being of others. We all have special roles to play, whether around our train sheds or far away. No matter what, though, we are all friends, and all the trains agree.